Hello gang and welcome, it's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, back with a finished Umbra Nightblade build. Yes, a magical Nightblade build that I wanted to make prior to Update 7. I think Magic Nightblades are going to be the strongest class in Update 7 due to the dodge rolling change, Nirnhone, and the fact that I can basically be permanently cloaked. It is incredibly powerful. The nice thing about this build is it works solo or in a group. Yes, even me, I'm playing solo, I can't believe it. So if you're looking for an all-around good magical Nightblade build, check this out. This is the Umbra finished PvP. Let's go. Alright, here we are on my Umbra Nightblade. I am a Breton race, vampire. Yes, I go back to vampire because I still love it. But this is the skills that I found most effective for me in this type of play. Now, you can use this in group or in solo, but it's really meant for small group solo type thing. I'm looking forward to Imperial City, and I think Nightblades will be a very, very strong class for it due to the resource management, your sneaking, and your burst. Even as a Magic Nightblade, I can hit like a truck. So the first thing I want to use on my siphoning is Crippling Grasp. This basically gives you speed and slows the enemy down. I don't use a gap closer so much because I can cripple someone and get caught up to them. The nice thing about this build is I use dual wield for the spell power, extra spell power. No, I don't know how it works, it just does. And I don't need a whole gap closer because I have funnel health. Funnel health hits extremely hard, only costs 700 magicka on my champion points. And it does heal me or heal ally. If you're going to go completely solo, use Swallow Soul Morph, though the funnel health I do like if I do small group PvP or large group PvP. So it hits very, very, very small. So I don't need a gap closer because what I'm going to do is crippling someone, and the only time I'm really closing the distance is to finish someone off or if a Dragon Knight is using reflective scales. So I'm going to keep this on someone at all times to slow them down, and then I'm going to use funnel health until they're getting low, a little bit low. This really costs me no resources to use, so I'm going to go in between using funnel health, keep a cripple up, and dark cloak. With this build, I can pretty much permanently stay in stealth if I want to. So every other ability, I can pretty much go back into stealth. It's going to remove some damage over time effects, and it's going to allow me to basically stay safe for 3 seconds. There's also going to be a change to Dark Cloak in Update 7, making Nightblades even more powerful, which is 1. Stealth Detect Potions won't work on us anymore. Yes, I don't know if that's going to finally go out, but that would be incredible. And also single target abilities won't work as well. That Crushing Shock or that Dragon Knight Whip that takes you out of stealth, making Dark Cloak probably the most powerful ability in the game, especially for survival. So, that's what I'm doing. An awesome combination to go with our range attack is Dark Cloak into a Concealed Weapon. Concealed Weapon can't be dodge rolled. So right now the whole meta is for stamina users just to constantly dodge roll to avoid attacks. Not so fast with Concealed Weapon. Also, you can stun enemies when you're invisible, setting them off balance for 0.5 seconds. So if you are Dark Cloaking and you go into a Concealed Weapon, it's your way to burst someone down, get them off balance, and keeping them stunned. It also gives you movement speed while slotted, 25%. So add that up, 25% on top of a 40% movement speed. This is how you close the gap on someone. You don't really need a whole lot of gap closers. Let me go find a little crazy person here. So let's say this is a Dragon Knight. Boom. And look how fast I am. So I can close the gap, and I am constantly in stealth. So if I want to go back out, I can. I'm in stealth. That's kind of how you play that. And the Dark Cloak allows you to basically get that movement speed. You're so fast. So the combination of Dark Cloak, Cripple, and your Concealed Weapon on your bar makes you a movement nightmare for people to deal with. Which allows you to get out of the area, because AoE attacks will hit you out of Cloak in Update 7. But single target won't, giving Nightblades a tremendous advantage. Tremendous. Okay. A couple things you want to know about your bar setup before I go over the other two abilities. It's really important as a Nightblade to have your passive setup. So as a Magic Nightblade, you almost always have to have one siphoning ability on your bar because it increases max magic by 8% just while slotted. That is super important. We have 2, that's great. Another thing you want to do is have an assassination ability in your bar because It increases weapon and spell damage. Where's the one I want? Increases critical strike rating for each assassination ability slotted. Increases Bonical critical strike damage by 10%. Meaning your crits are going to hit extremely hard, 10% harder. You can even augment this even more and go the Shadow Munda Stone, throw some champion points on it, and you'd be a crit monster. But having one assassination on your ability, on your bar, is vitally important to hit really, really hard. So we do this on bar 1, dual wield bar, with Soul Harvest. I like Soul Harvest over Incapacitating Strikes. Reason being, I have about 2 to 3 ways to stun the enemy anyways, so I don't need another one. The Soul Harvest morph makes me get ultimate up every time I kill someone, and I'm always killing someone on this bar. So at 50 ultimate cost, it's almost always up. It hits really, really hard. Also, the nice thing about it is it gives the healing debuff to the enemy. So that Dragonite that's blocking and constantly using green dragon's blood, I can almost always have this up on that target because it lasts for 6 seconds. 50 ultimate cost, I'm getting that up. How am I getting that up? Once again, more passives in the siphoning tree. Right here, activating the siphoning ability grants 2 ultimate every 4 seconds. So I'm constantly using funnel health, and I'm constantly using crippling grass, and I'm constantly using potions. Potions give you 12 ultimate. So usually what I do is I do a Soul Harvest at a 50 ultimate cost. I immediately follow that up with a potion. Right there, it's going to get me almost, a third of the way back to my ultimate again. With the light attack and a couple of funnel health or cripple, I'm at that mark again. Making Soul Harvest basically constantly be up every 6 seconds. Keeping the healing debuff, keeping the pressure on the target. I think the most powerful Nightblade ability for group play or single right now is Mass Hysteria. Summons a Dark Spirit, fears up to 3 enemies, causing them to flee in terror for 4.5 seconds. So it costs a bit of a magic, but it's a stun. And it's a really deceptive stun. So your character starts moving away from the target and you don't know really what's going on. So newer players have a hard time recognizing this and breaking it. Good players, though, will break it right away, but it's still a way to constantly stun a target. Remember, by default, people are going to be able to be stunned every 6 seconds. So almost every 6 seconds, I'm going to either use Mass Hysteria or the Dark Cloak Concealed Weapon rotation. Another thing that this does, it slows movement speed down. That's great. We already have Cripple for that. But it gives Minor Maim, which reduces their target damage by 15%. So you're going to take a lot less damage constantly fearing enemies. Now, it only lasts 4 seconds, but remember, you CC break every 6 seconds. So you're almost always having a 15% damage debuff on the target going against you. Incredibly powerful. So you have that. You have a healing debuff, allowing you to put so much pressure on a single target person. So how do you survive using this? Really, your survival comes from using Dark Cloak over and over and over. So just to show you how powerful this is, every 3 seconds, with my magic regeneration like I am, and my champion points, look at my magic. It's literally not moving. I can stay in cloak 100% of the time. I hope Zost nerfs this because I think this is the most overpowered ability in the game, especially in Update 7. Especially since Stealth Attack Potions won't be able to take me out, and especially since single target abilities won't be able to take me out. Now, I am wearing 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium, and I can maintain 100% cloak without using a potion. So, that's your defensive ability on this bar, is while you're using abilities to close on targets, hit them with stuff, you're also using cloak every time you're out of stealth. Stay in stealth. Constantly stay in stealth. If the target's about to die and you're going 1v1, you don't need to, but if you're in the area and there's tons of stuff going on, use an ability, go in cloak. Use an ability, go in cloak. So, I think I've proved my point with that, right? Now you see me. Okay, so that's how you survive on that bar. Your main bread and butter damage bar. Single target, you're going to nuke someone. The back bar here is more utility and has 1 AoE ability. Okay. So our utility bar here is Shadowy Image. Shadowy Image, I didn't really think it was that effective, but it's just incredibly effective because the range on it, it does do a minor maim to a target. And the nice thing is if you're going up against a block knight, a dragon knight that just simply blocks over and over, this thing will constantly pepper them with damage, taking away stamina. Much, much, much needed stamina. So you combine a shadowy image for 20 seconds and constantly mass hysteria targets on the single target bar, sucking that stamina away, going through the Dragon Knight's block. Okay, so shadowy image as well allows you to teleport, so it's just simple. You go here, and so you got this little guy here. You go back to your bar, and let's say you're in trouble, you teleport back. That's all. And then you reapply it whenever you want. And so the thing to notice about it is it doesn't have infinite range. So you see I cast it over here again. That means you're out of range. Right now, your ability, like my number 1 slot, you'll see it's up with a kind of a cunning little look. You hit it again, you can go to it, but you have to know the range of this thing. Otherwise, you're going to hit it and not go back. And then you will die. So, don't do that. Come here, you little crazy man. Okay. And I have all of these ways to use this in a dueling video on my Twitch that lasts about 30 minutes when we duel and I show off all of these abilities. So if you want to see exactly how that is in real life, I stream this build almost every day. So that's a mass hysteria. Double take. Yes, sir. Double take does a couple things for us. One, it gives us a dodge chance. It gives us a movement speed for 4 seconds that we can activate out of stealth, and we don't have to require another target. So with Cripple, I have to hit someone with this to get the speed bonus. Double take, I know. And it also gives me a huge evasion chance for 26 seconds. That's a long time buff, so you don't have to constantly keep casting it. And giving you that 4-second speed buff, it is really, really nice, because you can hit the 4-second speed buff, go in, do the Dark Cloak, get even more movement speed, and then go into a target. So I've even chased sorcerers down with this combo, just because it's so powerful. So the sorks that are streaking away, I don't need a gap closer because I just have so much speed. I also use a resto staff on this bar. Reason being is healing ward. Yes, everyone knows about it. It basically puts a humongous ward on you depending on how much damage you've taken or how low your health is. When the ward expires, you go to full health. Okay, so there's a trick combo with this, and it's the reason why I like being vampire. If you go into vampire, elusive mist. This gives you speed once again, and you can't be stunned. Take 75% less damage. You can be immobilized. So one, this is ideal going into a keep as a vampire. Let's say there's oils up there. That's okay. Vampire, no big deal. Right? Great. So let's say you're in big time trouble because you're a vampire and you're hanging out in lava. Healing ward, mist form. Pop. 100% health. Yes. That powerful. The trick of mist form is the timing and healing ward. So if you cast your healing ward first, it lasts about 5 seconds, and mist form lasts about 4. So as soon as you come out of it, the healing ward pops. So since you're taking 75% less damage, you have more likely chance that that healing ward's going to pop, putting you back at full health. Remember, that's pretty much your only major source of healing. You do have funnel health, you do have sap essence, what I'm going to get to, but realistically, you're just covering yourself with wards. Anytime you're below basically 50% health, you need to have a ward on you. Ward. Yes, just like that. And then the group ability that I like to use is Sap Essence. So Sap Essence, it gives you a couple different things. One, it gives you that sap, that ability for 8% magic, because since we are using a siphoning ability on our tree, it's an AoE. It has more radius than Impulse. It heals you and nearby allies, and then also it gives you major sorcery. So the buff that makes you hit harder spell damage wise is right here. So that's kind of an interesting mechanic because you can do one of two things. And that's using potions to augment this build. So if you're going to use potions, like I always recommend, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can use Panacea of Detection, which increases stealth detection, major sorcery, and gives you magic. It lasts 40 seconds, 40.3, because I have the alchemy passive medicinal use maxed, right? So that's great. So with that max, I can almost always have this up. But if you're struggling with resource management, the thing you can do is use tripods. You can use tripods and use sap as your major buff. So sap will give you that same buff, major sorcery, and tripods allows you to have the major regeneration up at all times. So if I use a tripod instead, yes, I just burned a tripod. My regeneration is 1500 and 900 on stamina. Now that seems like nothing, which it is pretty low. And then we go to this bar here. I got 21, almost 2200 spell damage unbuffed and 31k magic. And that's not without Lunar Light on. I'm also using the Atrac Mundus Stone. I can get about 33k magic here if I go the mage, but I can't stay in cloak indefinitely. And the reason I don't worry about regeneration so much is because Engine Guardian. I'm using a 5-1-1 setup. 1 medium, 1 heavy, right here, 5-1-1. And because the Engine Guardian will proc this little droid dude that will come out and give me one of 3 resources that I need. So it's going to heal me, give me stamina or magicka. So how you use this droid is, if you're getting healed, go on the offensive. You don't need to heal yourself, and it's pretty much going to keep you up in a 1v1 fight. If it's giving you stamina, you can just dodge roll over and over and over until update 7. So that's the way to survive. If it gives you magicka, well, you can just use your wards and stack those, or go on the offensive and go in sneak mode. Either way, when this thing procs, you should use one of the resources and not die. Yes, that's why I don't worry about regeneration so much. And even with 1500 regeneration and a lot of reduced costs, remember, I can stay in stealthy poo the whole time. And every time I cast this, uh-oh, look what's up. So now we can get crazy with our cast. 300, look, 300 magic cost right there, 3000 almost. I can just infinitely cast. So, that's how you use that. Okay, back bar, once again, we've gone over everything except the ultimate. Now the ultimate, Soul Tether is probably best to combine Soul Tether with Magic Detonation. That is an Alliance Ring 7. As you guys have seen Cypher do it with incredible success. And I plan on doing that in the future, but I just don't have Alliance Ring 7 yet because I haven't PvP'd on this guy like all day, every day. So if I do get that, I probably will switch it out. But since I do play in a group quite often, I go Devouring Swarm. You can also use Clouding Swarm if you wanted, go a little more offensive. But for me, the amount of healing this does, if we do a Bat Bomb on a target, 158 ultimate cost, and I go into a Sap Spam, I'm going to have a massive AoE. So that's how I kind of get away with not having tons of AoE on my bar, is using Arresto Staff, Healing Word, Devouring Swarm, and Sap Essence. So your call here. If you wanted even another way to single target burn someone, you go Soul Assault. Let's unlock this little booger. If you want to go super single target, you could use this, which is the burn ability. A lot of people don't know how to counter it, but you can counter it by using Mistform or Cloak. That's going to burn someone down single target like a trick. So a lot of different flexibility that you want to do with this, but that's what I found most useful. Okay, I know we explained a lot, but this is a complex build, and it's so much fun once you can pull it off. But it does take a lot of time. You're going to have to get a lot of different gear. You're going to have to take time mastering it, because I haven't even mastered this build. There's a lot of single group play. Solo is not my thing, but I am starting to learn more. I recommend everyone do a mix between solo and group. The reason why is you learn a lot of different things. So the best feedback I can give is do both. Even dueling. You know, I'm not a dueler, but I'm starting to do it more and more because you learn how to survive under pressure. If you can learn how to survive under pressure 1v3 people, you can do wonders in a group. So let's talk about gear that allows you to do this. Okay, back to the gear setup. Now, how do I have so much spell damage without being buffed? Now, if we use the spell power potions, whoops, wrong one. We use a spell power and spell critical potion. I'm at 2600 and 44% spell critical at 31k magic. That's how I hit so hard. Let me show you how I do it. I use Engine Guardian. Okay, now the best in slot setup that I found for this, I don't have. You want to go light on your helm and on your shoulders, and you want to go really divines and infused. So divines on small pieces, which would be your shoulder, shoulder, gloves, belt, and boots. That gives you a little more Atronach, a little more casting. You also go into infused and everything and just magic it up. But realistically, you want to be with food. Do I have food up? Around 22k health in Cyrodiil. Anything less or more is not optimal. You don't need drinks really. That's not exactly what I use. I use food. Because remember, two things make you hit harder. Max magic, max spell damage. Those two things will make you hit harder. So drinks are great for tanking and solo and like dodge rolling and stuff, but I do like food. And I go with tri-stat food. Okay, so I use a Magnus 4-piece. Magnus gives you max magic, recovery, spell damage. It's craftable. It's 4 traits. It's really easy to get a hold of. There's really no alternative for this. The nice thing about Magnus is it allows you to pick your traits. So infused. I do a couple pieces that are health, and then that's what allowed me to put my attributes 62 into magic. So I'm right around 23k health in Cyrodiil. Another thing is adroitness. Adroitness is amazing. You just gotta have it, I think, for this build. A lot of my builds use it. Why? Because it's effective. The neck and the waist. You got the well-fitted trait, not ideal, but with 166 spell damage for 2 pieces, you can't beat it. And then you have Cyrodiil's Light, good old Cyrodiil's Light. Arcane, enchanted with spell damage, giving you, this is where the majority of your damage comes from. 2 spell damage increases, along with a spell damage 2-piece. That's a lot of spell damage, about 300, if I can math right. Then you go reduce costs on the adroitness neck. So you can go a little bit more damage, and that's if you have a couple more divine pieces. Let's say infused here, another divines, and your Atronach Mundus Stone. If you wanted to go ultra damage, but I still like 1 reduced cost because I don't have 2 of these necklaces, so I don't pass them around. Okay, and then the heavy hitters, dual wield. Now, dual wield, how does it work? I have no idea how the spell damage works. I honestly don't, but it gives you a lot more. And you go Nirnhone with this. I also like to go disease, damage, and flame. Reason why is in between your attacks, you should be light attacking as fast as you can and kind of weaving in your attacks. It's going to proc that disease enchantment. It's also going to proc the flame damage. Those 2 things add up. Nirnhone right now is best in slot, I think, for trait magic damage, and dual wield, it fits perfect. And you don't think a lot of people are going to be using dual wield on a magic Nightblade, so it's a little bit deceptive as well. And that's really the gear, and that's what produces that much results. Torx pack's easy to get. I think it's 2 trait craftable. Cyrodiil's Light is in PvP only. Adroitness is in Crypt of Hearts. Engine Guardian Dark Shade, you can get the helm and farm it all day, every day. And then Light is through the Undaunted Pledges, or the shoulder. That might take you a little bit to get. Also, the rest of the staff, I do use Magnus. Trick with that is it gives me a 5-piece on my Magnus, on my resto bar, and only a 4-piece on my dual wield. So you're trading a little bit more damage here, and then you're trading a lot more casting on the resto. So 8% to negate the spell cost. So if I'm doing sapping or I'm casting healing words and I don't want to die, I have that added benefit. I don't have an enchant yet because I'm poor and don't have a Kuda to enchant it, but I would do magic return. So that way you can rip off a heavy attack. Make sense? Alright. Well, let's move on to passives, because I know you guys always ask me. Then we're going to go champion points and we're going to be done. Okay, in case you skipped my earlier lecture about passives, which you shouldn't have, you should watch this whole video, let's talk about them again. So the Nightblade has some of the best passives in the game, and Assassination is going to reward you for increased spell damage while you're stealth, and stealth attacks last longer, so that goes great with our Dark Cloak spamming. And then it's also going to reward you for killing enemies, getting back magic when you kill them with the Assassination ability. So if you kill an enemy with Soul Harvest, you're getting back magic. Great, that's our finisher. And then also increase crit rating, having it slotted, also crit damage. So these passives alone make it worth having at least 1 Assassination ability on your bar. So 2% crit doesn't add up, but the extra critical strike damage does. So at least 1. Those are important passives. The shadow passives. Okay, increase stamina recovery by 30%. Yeah, that's incredible. Even if you can stack that on being a werewolf instead of a vampire, you're looking at 45%. And if you're a true solo player, I would recommend going werewolf instead of vamp. Because a lot of people now are using the Fighter's Guild ability up here, Dawnbreaker, and they're taking the other morph of Dawnbreaker and almost 14k one-shotting people that are vampires. So if you're a true dueler, you're a true solo player, it might be best to go werewolf, and that's the reason why. So you have that one. Activating Shadow increases your armor by 5100, and the duration is increased for each piece of heavy armor. I'm wearing 1 piece of heavy armor, so it does add up. That's another reason to wear the 511 setup. Why we're talking about 511, Undaunted. The reason I wear a 511 is increase your max health, stamina, and magicka basically by 3%. You can put 2 points into this once I level this up a bit more, giving me 6%. That's a lot of magic, actually, and even health. So that makes it a reason to use 511. You don't need the heavy armor like I go on other setups because you're constantly invisible. If you're out of invis, you're vulnerable. So with light setup, you have to play tactical, invis all the time. Why? Well, we get 5,000 armor for 5 seconds every time we cloak. That's a good reason. Shadow increases max health, not too worried about that. Increases the duration of shadow abilities. This is a must-have. Why? Because it's going to increase how long your cloak lasts. Giving you 3 seconds is vital to get your magic back and permacloak. Siphoning. This is an underrated passive, but it's incredibly powerful. Increases getting 12 ultimate after drinking a potion at a 50% ultimate cost, or 50 cost ultimate. It's incredible. Suck down these potions. It's amazing the results you're going to have using that ultimate. And then the second most powerful is increasing your max magic by 8% while having a siphon ability slotted. That's why it's great to double bar a siphoning ability. Increases your effectiveness of healing. That's okay. But the siphoning granting 2 every time you use an ability like funnel health, cripple, sap, which we're basically going to be using it every 4 seconds, 2 ultimate. That's why this Nightblade can generate ultimate left and right. Alright, the dual wield. People tell me that this right here gives you a, 5% damage? It says weapon attacks, but it also includes spell, I think. I don't know how it works. I really don't. But if you're going to go the dual wield route, think about taking this. Why do I take all of them? Well, I don't know if it always works or not, but it might as well worth taking if I have the extra skill points. So I take them all, but this is the one you're really going to want. Restoration staff, I take them all once again, but the really nice one here is additional 30% magic when you complete a heavy, getting your resources back if you're running out of magic for some reason. So think about using that. Armor. Obviously, everything in light. If you're just starting off with this build, evocation and recovery, like I've always talked about, are vitally important. If you have the extra skill points, take everything in medium. We're wearing 1 point of medium. Do you have to do that? No, but every bit helps. Take everything in heavy. We are wearing 1 piece of heavy. Probably not going to prioritize these skill points until much later in the game. Another really important passive is a Ledgerman here. Reduces stamina cost of sneaking by 20%. This can go all the way up to 40. So think about taking that. Another trick with sneaking on this build, if you go into sneak here and then hit your cloak, you're still using stamina. See how my stamina is draining there? It is slowly, but it's still draining. So if you hit the T key, come out of stealth, and then you do the hidden dark cloak spam, you notice that it's not taking stamina. So the trick is, while you're still cloaking, and let's say you're just got out of combat or someone's chasing you, you can go around a corner here and then hit the T key, which is what I have for my cloak. And then when you come out of it, you'll be hidden. So that's the trick how not to blow your stamina sneaking around. So make sure you take that. Vampire, naturally these are pretty powerful. Supernatural recovery, a great reason to be vampire. Undeath goes well. The lower your health, harder it is to kill you. That's not that important, but Darkstalker, increasing your movement speed by sneaking. That's how I can sneak so fast. It's crazy, crazy powerful. I love being a vampire, though it does have some major downsides. Update 7, the fire damage is coming down from 50 to 25, giving you more incentive to be a vampire. Mage's Guild, Fighter's Guild, we're not using any Mage's Guild abilities, so these aren't that necessary, but PvE they are. And then Slayer, this is obvious. If you're going up against a vamp, you need this. And extra ultimate killing a vampire. And then the Werewolf, Fighter's Guild ability, great. Alliance War, my Alliance rank soars 6, but if you have any other skills or your higher Alliance rank, take them all. They're really powerful. And the race. You guys are going to ask me a bunch of race questions, and this is what I'm going to tell you. There's 3 races I recommend playing this. Breton #1 for reduced cost, staying permanent cloak. I do like the spell resistance, being a vampire that does help me some, and then extra magic makes me hit harder. The second I would be as a high elf. You're probably going to do more damage with the elemental damage buff. You're not going to have the reduced cost, but you will have magic regeneration. Really, really good. Dunmer would actually be okay, because you do have a 9%, I think, magic pool and 6% stamina. So you would have some flexibility if you wanted to play magic or stamina at some point. Other than that, you can be an Imperial, you can be a Red Guard, you can be whatever, but these are what I recommend. If you differ from it, that's on your own. And I've even played a stamina build on this Breton, and it's worked before. So don't get too freaked out if you're a Bosmer and you want to play this build. Try it. You know, don't think about re-rolling your character unless, you know, you don't like the character. Stick with your race. They change. Must-have passes. You really need to level Alchemy to 50 to get this. It actually makes a big impact on your performance. It really does. So think about taking that. Other than that, these are the important passives that you can use low level or high level while you're leveling up that affect this build. Let's talk about champion points. I'm up to 370, I think, champion points now. Yes, I know that's a lot. Not everyone's going to have that much, and that's okay. What I do want to tell you is kind of where I put my champion points here and some important things you're going to look at getting. Okay, so I go all reduced cost here by 10.3%. That really goes well with a Breton having that 3% reduced cost as well. So I really, really like that. And I do come over here, and I do split a little bit, 2 to 1. One Arcanist to get magic recovery, and I do like the stamina recovery, 8%. That goes well with the 30% stacking on my passive as a Nightblade. Think about if you're a werewolf as well, you need stamina. You're going to be constantly stunned. You're going to dodge roll here and there, so I highly recommend taking that. Also, the Synergizer passive at 30 point grants 2 ultimate anytime you active synergy. That's another way to generate tons and tons of ultimate using this passive, using potions, using your siphoning attacks, constantly having ultimates up. You are an ultimate generating machine as a Nightblade. Since I have tons and tons of champion points, I do like this. Reduce stamina cost of roll dodge and break free by 5%. So I wouldn't take this a whole lot until you have, you know, basically above probably 200 champion points. But this does add up if you're in the middle of the mix. So I like that. So realistically, you want to split between Arcanist and Magician. If you feel you're comfortable with your magic and your permanent cloak, put some on Mooncalf. And once you have some stamina, and you want to break free more reliably and dodge a little bit more, put some in Tumbling. Moving on. Okay, so I split between 3 here: Spell Erosion, Spell Resistance, Elfborn, the harder you hit and Creel hit, and then increases the effectiveness of healing you've done. The reason I like a little bit points into this is I like the sap healing and funnel health. If you wanted to go really sap tank heavy, you could dump a lot of points into this. But really, you're trying to get 30 points so you can do spell precision. As a Nightblade, I'm using magic damage. I'm not a Dragonite, so I don't use a whole lot of flame damage. So once I get 30 points, I move over to Thermagurge. Increases your damage with poison, disease, and magic by 23.8%. This goes up to 100. 25 damage. It's absolutely incredible and vital to the build. So 30, move on to Thermagurge, dump tons and tons in here. And then you could even go back in here and maybe do some staff or some blade to do a little more damage on that. You could even go back here and get that 120 point passive, where is it? Arcane Well, because that's pretty nice. But honestly, dump a lot of points in here. Moving on to the red. Okay, so the red here, I do dump 100 points into Elemental Defender. Now you have some flexibility with this. I really like the 10 point spell absorption. You're getting health when you crit. When you get hit, you're getting health. Now it's 300, but that adds up over a long time fight. This is what I love. Reduces stamina cost of abilities by 80% after 3 seconds, breaking free of a stun, knockdown, fear. So if you're stunned and maybe need a dodge roll or use an ability or something, that's a powerful passive at 120 points. I love it. Though you could do a bunch of other different stuff. If you wanted to increase the effectiveness of healing on you. You know, you could do tons and tons in a quick recovery. I don't know if Bastion works on healing wards, but if you wanted to go that route, you could. And that's really the only thing I see as being effective. The damage over time effects, I'm using Dark Cloak, so I don't think that really makes sense a whole lot. Armor doesn't make sense because I'm going to stay cloaked a lot. I don't want to get hit. And if I do and I'm not using my cloak, I will die. And then the rest of the points, poison, disease, and magic damage, well, we're going to go against a lot of magic users, so might as well put points in there. And that is the champion point thing. Yes. And that's the build. So I have a lot of gameplay, dueling, group PvP on my Twitch, so I'd like you guys to go there if you want to see this in action. I also play it every day, pretty much now on Twitch. This probably will be my main class in Update 7 Imperial City. I think it will be the most powerful. And yes, if you're like me and love to play Flavor of the Month, try a Magic Nightblade. Mark my words, it will be very powerful. Thank you so much for watching, and more builds to come. Yes, I think we're almost all caught up. I do need to do a Templar tank, and I do need to do a Magic Nightblade PvE DPS build. So I'm still working on that, but hopefully you guys enjoy this and you can go PvP YOLO around. And boom! Nuke people!